Even though we're going to go into a lot of how to design an annual plan, and in front of you is in a book, you've all seen annual plans. What I thought I'd do first is to give you some overview of the pieces of the puzzle that goes together to make up an annual plan. In the book, in Tudor's writings, you've seen the phases that he uses. I've given you a chart that I've kind of tried to make in a way that you can understand it. All of you who know me, all of you who've heard me speak, I don't speak in big words because I feel that the athletes and the clients, they have no idea what you're talking about. They're so tired of hearing strength coaches and professional coaches talking big words that they have no understand. And if you're into personal training, nobody cares. They want results. So we have to have a basic understanding of the pieces of the puzzle that we're going to put together to design an annual plan. In sports, for instance, or in training, for personal training, we'll take an example. You sell a person a membership for a year, but you never give them an annual plan for a year. And thus the pieces of the puzzle. The names of the pieces are based on the energy systems of the body. And on the chart you can see it. Anatomical adaptation. Basis of anatomical adaptation is you use a certain percentage of the weight. In our case, we're talking about 50 to 70%. The object is to get the range of motion going. So in other words, when you start somebody training, you know that down the road, especially with athletes, they're going to try to get injured. They're going to try to do heavy weights. They're going to try to see how much they can do. They're going to run into the weak links of the chain of the muscle movement. What we have to do in this, and that's why the first phase is we have to build the base, and that's anatomical adaptation. It's between 50 to 70% of your 1 rep maxes. Now again, this may not seem a lot, but when you're doing 12 or 15 reps, you're going to make the person work through a full range of motion. Yes, it's a semi-hypertrophy phase, but the amount of work that the average person is going to do, it's really not going to affect them that way. They're going to get stronger though because, again, we're defining the progression. The other thing that you use with anatomical adaptation, if you're taking on an athlete or a fitness person who has trained before, and they've trained for 6 months, 99.9% of the time, they're going to be overtrained because they have no idea. They're working to exhaustion every time. Remember, we're not based on working to exhaustion. We're planning. So what I do with anatomical adaptation, it gives me a chance to take people off of their old system and get them a baseline for what we're going to do in the future. That baseline will give me an idea of how overtrained they are, how much they're not overtrained. The other thing you have to look at, I use it with anatomical adaptation, we'll talk about it a little bit later, is naming the phases, okay? You don't have, I think I have it over here. We'll talk about it later. The next phase is maximum strength. Maximum strength is a term that we've used to increase nerve input to muscle. It's a central nervous system stimulus where we get the body during a short period of time, because remember, these are time factors in the body. Anatomical adaptation takes 10 to 15 seconds. Maximum strength takes a very short time